everybody, glad to see you today. Today we're going to read a story and do a craft, but you're going to need a couple supplies for the craft, so I wanted to show you that first. You're going to need a toilet paper roll that doesn't have toilet paper on it anymore. And if it's like my house, there's plenty of these going around because you've been stuck at home, right? But if you don't have a toilet paper roll, you can use a piece of paper just wrapped in a tube shape. And then you're going to need a small circle of white paper that we're going to put on top of the toilet paper roll. So you want it to be around the same size as the toilet paper roll. So a small white circle. And I'm going to use a piece of aluminum foil, but if you don't have any aluminum foil, you can always use crayons for this part. And then you will need either tape or glue. All right, but first let's read our story. So today's story is about Abraham. Now Abraham was in the very beginning of the Bible. Abraham was one of God's servants. God loved Abraham very much. And God made a promise to Abraham, and that's what this story is about. The title is God's Promise to Abraham. God came to Abram and made a promise. Abram, you are very special to me. I will take care of you and give you lots of children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren. But Abram asked God many times, "Are you sure? I don't have any children yet." God thought Abram needed something more to help him understand. So God took Abram outside and showed him the night sky. Your family will include as many people as there are stars in the sky, God told Abram. Abram stared up at all those stars. He couldn't begin to count all those twinkling lights. Stars and stars and stars all around him. Abram looked up at the stars and saw God at work, and Abram believed God. Now for another promise, said God to Abram. You will need a place for your huge family to live. I will give you this land as I promised. Are you sure, God? Asked Abram. God made a covenant with Abram, a promise that Abram would become a father and a grandfather and a great-grandfather and a great-great-grandfather and a great-great-great-grandfather and on and on and on. And all Abram's family, many sons, daughters, grandsons, and granddaughters would live with God in the land on which Abram stood. The end. That's pretty awesome, isn't it? Have you ever seen a sky full of stars? There are so many stars in the night sky, especially if you go out camping where there's not a lot of lights. You can see stars forever. It's pretty awesome that God says that Abram's family, which is God's family, will be more than there are stars in the sky. That means that all of God's people are loved by God, that there are tons of us all around the world. All of the people of the world are a part of God's family. And we are as many as there are stars in the sky. And you know, if God loves stars that much, how much more does God love us? God loves us more than all those stars. If you can believe that, that's pretty great. So I thought for our project today, for our craft, we would make a telescope so that we could see some stars. So make sure you have your materials. A tube for toilet paper, a small white circle, some aluminum foil or some crayons, and some tape or some glue. Pause me for a second and go grab your materials. Okay, do you have your materials? I do too. So first we're going to start with the small white circle. And we're going to color this like the night sky. So I'm going to use a dark blue crayon or a colored pencil and color it. And then I'm going to use a lighter color. I think I'm going to see if light blue will show up. and draw stars, or you could use yellow, or you could use white. Whatever color will show up on your dark blue. So let's color this together. Pause me so you have time. Okay, I finished mine. Did you finish yours? Now we're going to take the small circle and put the color side down on top like this. And then we're going to use, you might need some help from a parent for this part or a grown-up, and tape the edges around so that it sticks to the toilet paper roll. So I'm going to use tape. You could use glue too if that's what you have at your house. Tape her on like that. Let's see. Tape all four sides or glue it really good so that it doesn't fall off, right? All right, so mine's taped on. Did you get yours done? If not, you can pause me until you're finished. And then after you have that glued on or taped on, then I'm going to wrap my telescope in aluminum foil so that it's nice and shiny. If you don't have aluminum foil, you could color the outside. You could color it black or whatever color you wanted. If you wanted yours to be a rainbow telescope, you could do that too. But I'm going to choose to wrap mine in shiny aluminum foil. Like this. I want to make sure I cover all of it. And you know, if you have some that's overlapping on the bottom, the great thing about aluminum foil is you can fold it in like this. Make sure there's no sharp edges so you don't hurt your eyes, right? There we go. And I'm going to put a piece of tape on it just to make sure it stays. Okay, there we go. Now, when you're all done, look inside and see if you can see the stars. Oh, wow, I can. When you look inside your telescope and you see all the stars, it will help you to remember that God made people as more, not as many, but more than there are stars in the sky. And God loves us that much, more than as many as there are stars in the sky. Pretty great. It's important to remember that when we're having a hard time or when we think we don't have anything to do or that kind of stuff, we can remember that God loves us and that God has people that he loves more than there are stars in the sky. So thanks for having fun with me today. I hope you like your telescope. Make sure you share it with your family. I bet they'd love to see it. And I'll see you tomorrow. Remember, God loves you, and so do I. See you tomorrow.